Think about the last time you were under real pressure, a looming deadline, an unexpected crisis at work, a difficult conversation you couldn't avoid. What happened inside your mind? For most of us, the experience is the same. Our vision narrows. Our breathing becomes shallow. Our mind, which moments before was capable of complex thought, suddenly short-circuits. It becomes a frantic, primal thing, capable of only two thoughts: fight or flee. Creativity dies. Perspective vanishes. We become trapped in the prison of our own panic. This is the tragedy of the modern mind in a high-stressed world. The very moments that demand our best thinking are the moments we are least capable of it. Our brain's ancient, hardwired response to a predator on the savannah is now triggered by a critical email or a traffic jam, shutting down the exact neural pathways we need to innovate, to strategize, and to see clearly. But what if there were another way? What if, instead of short-circuiting, you could expand? What if you could meet chaos not with a closed fist of panic, but with an open hand of curiosity? There is a blueprint for this kind of thinking. It comes from the mind of a man who lived in a time of immense turmoil, plague, and political upheaval, yet produced some of the most sublime works of art and science in human history. Today, you will learn to think like Leonardo da Vinci in high-stress moments. This is not about learning to paint or invent. It is about learning to use your mind as he used his, as a calm, curious, and creative instrument, even when the world outside is in flames. You will learn to turn the pressure cooker of stress into a laboratory for genius. Principle 1. Embrace the smoke. One of Leonardo's most famous artistic techniques was Sfumato, which translates to turned to smoke. It's the art of blending colors and tones so seamlessly that they melt into one another, eliminating harsh lines and creating an atmosphere of ambiguity and mystery. Like in the smile of the Mona Lisa, for Da Vinci, this wasn't just an artistic choice, it was a philosophy. He understood that reality is not made of hard lines and absolute certainties. It is a place of shadows, nuances, and unresolved questions. Now, consider your mind under stress. What does it crave? Certainty. It screams for a simple black and white answer right now. Is this good or bad? Will I succeed or fail? What is the one right thing to do? This desperate need for clarity in a naturally ambiguous situation is the very engine of panic. To think like Da Vinci is to embrace the smoke. It is to cultivate a comfort with ambiguity. It is the profound and calming recognition that it is okay to not have the answer right now. When a crisis hits, your mind will be a flurry of disconnected, frantic thoughts. Trying to force them into a single, perfect solution immediately is like trying to grab a fistful of smoke. You will only end up with nothing. The Da Vincian approach is to lean back, observe the swirling cloud of the problem, and allow the patterns to emerge in their own time. It is a radical act of trust in your own mind. It is giving yourself permission to be in a state of "I don't know yet." That small addition, the word "yet," is everything. It transforms a declaration of powerlessness into a statement of patient confidence. You are not lost. You are simply allowing the picture to resolve. The next time you feel the spike of stress because a situation is unclear, take a breath and say this to yourself, either out loud or internally. The path is not clear right now, and that is acceptable. I am in a state of Sfumato. Feel the release of pressure that comes from no longer demanding an instant answer. Give your mind the gift of time. Let the smoke settle. Principle 2. Connect the unconnected. Da Vinci's notebooks are a testament to a mind that saw connections everywhere. He saw how the flow of water in a river mimicked the braiding of human hair. He saw how the anatomy of a bird S-wing could inform the design of a flying machine. This practice of finding patterns and connecting disparate ideas is called Connessione. It is the art of systems thinking. Under stress, our mind does the opposite. Our focus narrows to a single, painful point. This is called tunnel vision. If there's a budget crisis, all we can see is the money. If there's a conflict with a colleague, all we can see is their face and their words. This hyper-focus on the immediate point of pain blinds us to the larger system in which the problem exists, and therefore blinds us to countless creative solutions. To think like Da Vinci in a crisis is to consciously fight this narrowing. It is to force yourself to zoom out and map the entire system. Let's take an example. A project manager, Alina, is told her project's budget is being cut by 30%. Her team is panicking. Their vision has narrowed to, "We have no money. We are going to fail." Alina, channeling Da Vinci, calls a meeting. But instead of focusing on the cut, she takes a whiteboard and asks, "Let's map our entire universe. What is the ultimate goal of this project? Who are all the stakeholders? What other departments does our work touch? What are the unique skills every person on our team possesses, even those we don't use?" They map the system, they see the connections. They realize their project's goal overlaps with another department's goal. They realize one of their team members has a skill that could solve a problem for that other department. The crisis becomes an opportunity. They propose a joint project, sharing resources and talent, ultimately creating a better outcome than either team could have achieved alone. They didn't solve the problem of the budget cut. They transcended it by seeing the whole system. When you are faced with a stressful problem, take out a large piece of paper. In the center, write down the problem. Start drawing lines and bubbles connecting it to everything else. Your personal strengths, your team members, your other goals, the market. Keep going until the page is a beautiful, chaotic web. Look for the unexpected connections. Your solution is hiding there. Principle 3. Question everything. Leonardo's driving force was an insatiable, almost childlike curiosity. His notebooks are filled with questions, from the mundane to the cosmic. How do birds fly? Describe the tongue of a woodpecker. Why is the sky blue? He understood that questions are the keys that unlock the world. Stress is the antithesis of curiosity. When the fight or flight response kicks in, your brain declares a state of emergency. It says, "There is no time for questions. We must act now. We must panic." This is a fatal error. Panic is simply a state of mind without questions. The moment you introduce a genuine question, the spell of panic begins to break. You cannot be truly panicked and truly curious at the same time. Asking a question forces a shift in your brain, moving energy from the emotional, reactive centers to the analytical, observant centers. The Da Vinci method is to meet the heat of panic with the cool water of inquiry. When a crisis erupts, don't just react to the headline of the problem. Become a detective. Start asking questions, like a child who constantly asks why. This is a well-known technique in engineering called the 5 whys. You get to the root of a problem not by accepting the initial description, but by asking why repeatedly. The website is down. That's a statement of panic. Why is it down? Because a server crashed. Why did the server crash? Because a process overloaded the CPU. Why did it overload? Because a recent code update had a bug. Why wasn't the bug caught? Because our testing protocol is outdated. Why is the protocol outdated? Because we haven't prioritized it. In 5 questions, you have gone from a terrifying, abstract crisis to a clear, actionable problem. The panic is gone, replaced by a clear-eyed understanding and a path forward. The next time a problem triggers your stress, forbid yourself from making panicked statements. Instead, arm yourself with questions. Start with, what are the facts here? Then drill down with why. Turn your fear into a focused investigation. Principle 4. Test your fears. Another of Da Vinci's core principles was dimostrazione, the commitment to testing knowledge through experience, experiment, and a willingness to learn from mistakes. He trusted observation and reality over received wisdom and abstract theory. In high-stress moments, our minds do the opposite. We become slaves to untested, catastrophic theories. These theories are our fears. A fear is simply a hypothesis about a terrible future. If I speak up in this meeting, I will be humiliated. If I take on this project, I will fail. If this client leaves, my business will collapse. Your mind, in a state of stress, is a terrible scientist. It presents these dire hypotheses as proven facts. To think like Da Vinci is to treat your fears as what they are, untested hypotheses that must be subjected to experiment. You must ground yourself in reality, not in the horror stories your amygdala is writing. The most effective way to do this is to separate the objective facts of your situation from the subjective story you are telling yourself about it. The facts are observable, verifiable, and neutral. The story is an emotional interpretation filled with assumption and speculation. For example, the fact might be, I have been asked to give a 15-minute presentation to the leadership team tomorrow. The story your fear creates is, I'm going to be a disaster. I'll forget everything I'm supposed to say. They'll see I'm an imposter. I'll be judged. And my career will be stalled forever. Da Vinci would look at that story and ask, where is the proof? Where is the dimostrazione? He would insist on gathering data. What is the evidence that you will forget everything? Have you forgotten everything in past presentations? What is the evidence that they are there to judge you rather than to learn from you? By treating your fear as a story, you detach from it. You see it as a piece of fiction, not a prophecy. The next time you feel fear or anxiety about a future event, take out a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write the facts, only what a video camera would record. On the right side, write the story, all the fears, interpretations, and catastrophic predictions you are creating. Seeing them side by side will starkly reveal how much of your stress is self-created fiction. Principle 5. Balance the equation. The ultimate symbol of the Renaissance mind is the Vitruvian man. Da Da Vinci's exploration of the perfect harmony between art and science. Between the beauty of the human form and the unyielding logic of mathematics. Leonardo did not see these as separate disciplines. He saw them as two lenses through which to view the full truth of the world. Under pressure, we tend to lose this balance. We default to one extreme. Some of us become hyperlogical, almost robotic. We focus only on the data, the numbers, the mechanics of the problem, completely ignoring the human element, the fear, the morale, the emotional dynamics at play. Others go to the opposite extreme, becoming consumed by pure emotion. We are swamped by panic, anger, or despair, losing all capacity for rational thought. Both of these extremes lead to poor decisions. To think like Da Vinci is to consciously use your whole brain. It is to be both the scientist and the artist in the face of a challenge. It is a deliberate two-step process. First, put on your scientist's lab coat. Look at the problem with cold, hard logic. What are the variables? What is the data? What is the most rational, step-by-step process to analyze this? Create a spreadsheet, make a flowchart, be the detached, objective observer. Then, consciously take off the lab coat and put on the artist's smock. How does this situation feel? What are the human stories involved? If this problem were a painting, what colors would it be? What would an elegant, beautiful, or harmonious solution look like, regardless of the initial logic? Brainstorm wild, imaginative ideas. Let your intuition speak. The most brilliant solutions to our most stressful problems are rarely purely logical or purely intuitive. They are a connection of the two. They are the logical plan that is executed with creative empathy. They are the imaginative idea that is grounded in rigorous data. By consciously using both lenses, you gain a depth of perception that is unavailable to the panicked or one-dimensional mind. For your next significant challenge, formally divide your problem-solving process. Set a timer for 20 minutes and only use logic and data. Then, reset the timer for 20 minutes and only use intuition, feeling, and wild brainstorming. Finally, look at both sets of notes and build the bridge between them. Final thoughts? The renaissance of your mind. We have walked through the workshop of a genius, not to marvel at his finished paintings, but to borrow his mental tools. We have learned to embrace the ambiguous smoke of Sfumato, to see the whole system through Connessione, to disarm panic with the questions of to ground our fears in the reality of demonstrazione, and to solve problems with the full power of art and science combined. This is a profound shift. It is a move away from being a victim of modern stress and toward being a calm, creative agent in your own life. It is the understanding that a high-pressure moment is not just a threat to be survived. It is an invitation. It is an invitation to observe more deeply, to think more broadly, and to connect more creatively than you ever have before. You do not need to be a genius to think like Da Vinci. You only need to be willing to trade the instinct of panic for the habit of curiosity. Your practice begins now. It begins with the very next time you feel that familiar, unwelcome spike of stress. In that moment, before the tunnel vision closes in, perform one small act of Da Vincian defiance. Do not react, do not run. Simply pause and ask one simple, curious question. What is really going on here? That single question is the key. It is the key that unlocks the prison of your primal reaction and opens the grand sunlit door to the studio of your mind. In the face of chaos, don't just survive, create.